We draft a lot of fantasy football leagues, and you want to diversify, but there's just some running backs we can't stop drafting. I want them as much as possible. These guys are screaming values. Before we share our picks, let me remind you, if you haven't become a member of flockfantasy.com/endgame, join the flock and join us. You can get access to our rankings, bonus articles, bonus videos, dynasty advice, and coming up soon, our How to Dominate in Redraft course. That's right. We don't just tell you which players are good and who you should pick. We tell you how to draft smartly and make the picks that will help you win your league. So check it out right now. Still a limited time. You can get 30% off any membership if you use code ENDGAME on flockfantasy.com. All right, now we do want to have a little diversity. Like I said, you don't necessarily want the same running back 10 times if you're in 10 leagues, but sometimes, man, you just can't pass up that guy that you think is going to be dominant. Who's the first one for you?
Yeah, I know every time I say the name Bijan Robinson, people are going to go down and they're going to comment. They're going to say, oh my gosh, this guy's a rookie. How can you be so high on a rookie? Well, I don't care. Bijan Robinson checks every box you could possibly ask for in a running back. He's got speed. He's got agility. He's got vision. He can break tackles. He's a fantastic route runner. He's a fantastic pass catcher, and he's an above average pass blocker. This guy can do everything. He's in a great situation on the Falcons, a team we know is going to run the ball behind a great offensive line. They drafted him with the number 8 pick. They're going to use this guy. He's going to get tons of work early down, goal line, and passing down work. And look, you can sit here and say, he's a rookie. How can you have him over these other, veterans who have a lot of injury risk, by the way, because they have a lot of wear and tear? How can you have him over these guys? Well, I don't know. What did people say when Saquon Barkley was drafted and he finished as the number 1 scoring running back that year? Or what about Ezekiel Elliott, who averaged almost 21 fantasy points per game and finished as a number 2 running back that year? Sometimes there are just guys who come into the league who you just know are going to be studs. They check every single box imaginable. There's a reason this guy went with the 8th pick in 2023, which never happens anymore. That's because he's one of those guys. He's going to smash this year. I don't care if he's a rookie. I don't care if it was his 2nd year, his 3rd year, his 5th year. He's going to smash. Give me all the Bijan Robinson I can handle.
If I'm taking a running back first in the first round, it's him. That's it. It's that simple. A lot of times I'm not. I'm probably going wide receiver pretty early. A lot of times I'll call a lot of things. Anchor RB, hero RB, whatever you want to call it. Basically, the point is you don't load up on a bunch of running backs early. You take one guy you trust, and then you wait. So here's what I like to do is I take a stud receiver or 2, maybe even 3, and by the time it's late 3rd, early 4th round, I'm looking at who's there. And a lot of times, I can't believe Kenneth Walker is still sitting there. Now, I get it. People aren't as excited about him this year because they drafted Zach Charbonnet, who, after Bijan Robinson, was then one of the next running backs taken. But I will continue to say this. They did not draft Charbonnet to replace Kenneth Walker. I think it's pretty obvious. Seattle wants somebody to complement him because they have nobody else after Kenneth Walker. They need somebody to do basically the only thing that Walker really doesn't do that great is catch the ball. Okay, so yeah, that's his weakness. That's why you're not drafting Kenneth Walker in the first 2 rounds. He's not going to be a PPR monster, right? He's just not going to catch many passes. But he does everything else. The vision, the home runs, right? He can make those big plays. The guy averaged 4.6 yards per carry last year, and he can always rip off a long touchdown run, and that's what you want. But I like the fact that I'm getting him a guy who's a solid low-end RB1. Yes, I still think he finishes as a top 10 running back. Seattle beat reporters are saying they expect him to get about 17 touches per game this year, which is what he got last year. His role isn't really changing. Last year, he finished as the RB8 in fantasy. So that means there's a good chance he still finishes as a top 10 running back. So why not get a top 10 running back in the 3rd or 4th round? I will do that, and I'm going to continue to do that while I load up everywhere else on my fantasy team. All right, here's another running back that you just don't have enough of yet.
Let's go a little bit deeper here. Let's go with Rachaad White. I love Rachaad White this year in PPR leagues, which is what most people play in. If you're in some kind of PPR league, even half PPR, I think Rachaad White is going to be great this year. We know between the tackles, maybe he gets a little bit better. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's still inefficient. I don't really care about that too much. What I like about Rachaad White is he could potentially catch 80 to 100 passes this year. Don't forget he had 50 catches last year with Leonard Fournette getting 73 catches. That's 123 catches between the two of them. And you might say, well, Tom Brady's gone. He's a guy who will check it down. Well, now he's got Baker Mayfield, who led all quarterbacks in check down percentage last year. He checked it down more than any other QB. Baker Mayfield will happily just check it down to Rachaad White over and over again. Not an issue for him. And you could argue about his efficiency between the tackles and things, but you can't argue about him as a pass catcher. He was a fantastic pass catcher in college. That was one of his calling cards coming into the NFL. And he was a very good pass catcher last year in the NFL. We know he can at least do that. And in a PPR league, if he's catching 80 passes, 90 passes, 100 passes, which I legitimately think he could do in this offense, it's not going to matter what else he does. It's kind of like a running quarterback like Justin Fields last year. If he's running for 1,000 yards, it doesn't matter what he does throwing the ball. If Rachaad White's going to catch 80 to 100 passes, it doesn't matter what he does running the ball because he's going to be great in your PPR leagues, and I think that's what we're going to get from him. Also, there's nobody behind him. Undrafted free agent Sean Tucker, whatever. Keyshawn Vaughn, I mean, come on. He's not even a thing. You talk about Devin Singletary. What about Keyshawn Vaughn? This guy has done nothing in his career so far. Chase Edmonds, all hype, no substance. Rachaad White has a clear path to workhorse volume, and even if he somehow loses that because he's not efficient, he's going to be the pass catching back. He's going to catch a ton of passes in this offense. Baker Mayfield will check it down, especially when Baker Mayfield is running for his life behind this offensive line. He's just going to check it down over and over again to Rachaad White. So Rachaad White, to me, in the late rounds, his ADP hasn't moved at all. He's still like a late round running back you can get that has tremendous upside. I'm going to grab him every time.
Yeah, there's some cases where, having a not so great passing game actually could benefit the running back, and you hit it right on the head right there. But I'm going to talk about a running back who maybe won't have the volume, but is probably on the best offense, outside of maybe Kansas City, and that would be Philadelphia Eagle, DeAndre Swift. Now, this is a shift in thinking for me because the last 2 years, I said that I was not drafting DeAndre Swift, and I didn't. I don't think I've even had DeAndre Swift on a single fantasy team until this year. And now, the more and more, especially in best ball drafts I'm doing on Underdog and these early drafts we're doing, every time I see him available there, I'm taking him. Swift's ADP right now is in the mid-60s, and this is a guy who, talent undeniable. We know, again, ability to take it to the house, a great pass-catching running back when he's on the field. He's on, like I said, the Eagles, who have not only a great offensive line, but arguably the best offensive line, which is very important for running backs. Did I mention he's a great pass catcher? Yes. Let's see, great offense, talent. Why am I not taking a chance on a guy who really, truly has the upside to be one of the best fantasy running backs in all of football? I mean, the only thing we can say we're worried about is maybe he's just not going to get as many touches, right? Philadelphia doesn't really use just one guy. They'll rotate in Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott, who always seems to make an appearance, and Rashad Penny, who this is the year, right? This is the year. He's definitely staying healthy, and he's going to be a stud. I'm not worried about those guys. Talent always rises. Opportunity is created, right? So as long as DeAndre Swift stays healthy, which, that's, obviously a risk you always take with any running back. We never know when injuries will creep up, but I have a feeling a lot of these things that were issues in the past were kind of dings and, bruises and small issues. And I think that now that he's playing for a contract, I think he might stay healthier more than ever. We got plenty more thoughts on running backs. There's some guys that, and it's hard to tell, do you want them or should you be avoiding them? You can find out right here.